Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we cut through the noise and really get straight to what matters. Today, July 15, 2025, we're plunging into a really fascinating set of stories coming out of Korea. We've got a pretty diverse stack of sources here covering everything from absolutely colossal infrastructure projects to, shifts in the digital economy and some critical domestic challenges too. Our mission is really to distill the absolute core insights from these reports so you walk away truly well-informed, understanding not just the what, but the why. And I guess the so what for Korea and, the wider world.
Yeah, it's a day packed with some truly pivotal developments. We'll be looking at four distinct narratives, though I think you'll see they're kind of interconnected. First, that monumental expansion of Busan's port. Then, a surprising and pretty unique move from YouTube Premium right here in Korea. After that, Bitcoin's remarkable ascent, maybe as digital gold. We'll dig into that. And finally, a very stark look at Korea's job market. Our sources are actually calling it a crisis. Each of these stories really, in its own way, offers a window into Korea's evolving position, both, at home and on the global stage.
Absolutely. So, okay, let's kick things off with something truly monumental in scale. The Busan Port Jinhae new port development. Our sources aren't holding back here, calling this the largest port development project in history. I mean, that's quite a claim.
It really is.
We're talking about an astonishing investment, 12.6 trillion Korean won, which is roughly, 12.6 billion US dollars.
That's right, a massive figure.
And the full-scale construction officially kicked off on July 15th, 2025, right after they finalized an agreement with local fishermen just a few days before, on the 11th. That's an incredible undertaking.
It is. And what truly stands out here, I think, is that this isn't just, a big construction project. It's a national strategic endeavor. It's designed to proactively address global shipping trends. Think about it. Vessels are just getting larger all the time.
The mega ships, yeah.
Exactly. Container traffic is surging worldwide. And then there's even the long-term strategic potential of, say, the Arctic Sea Route. So this isn't just about expanding capacity. It's really about positioning Korea for the next era of global logistics.
Okay, so it's future-proofing, essentially.
Precisely. The ambition is clear. They aim to open 3 berths by 2030, and all the necessary outer facilities, things like breakwaters, dumping grounds, they're being developed simultaneously. It's a phased approach. Stage 1 will bring 9 berths, and Stage 2 will add 6 more. And interestingly, it's all engineered to be fully automated and environmentally friendly. It's really forward-thinking on a grand scale.
So, okay, beyond the sheer scale of ships and cargo, what's the deeper implication here? For Korea, and maybe for you, the global observer, how will this mega project fundamentally reshape the country's economic future and maybe its standing in international trade?
Well, this project is truly expected to transform Busan Port into a kind of global smart logistics hub. That alone massively boosts national logistics competitiveness, but its impact ripples far beyond the port itself. It's projected to directly revitalize the regional economy, create a significant number of jobs. That's always key.
Local impact.
Right. And here's where it gets particularly strategic, I think. It's designed to seamlessly integrate with the new Gdac Airport, creating a truly integrated logistics network, sea and air power combined.
Oh, okay, so it's a multimodal hub they're building.
Exactly. It's a calculated move to solidify Korea's position as the logistical linchpin for Northeast Asia. It's definitely a long-term play for future prosperity, fundamentally redefining Korea's role in, global supply chains.
Right. From that grand scale of physical infrastructure, let's pivot. Let's talk about something that touches maybe your daily digital life, at least if you're in Korea. It's a surprising move from YouTube Premium that could actually put money back in your pocket. Get this. YouTube Premium Lite is launching in Korea, and our sources are reporting it's coming in at the world's lowest price.
Yeah, quite something.
This new offering, it strips out the ads from YouTube videos, but notably, it doesn't include the YouTube Music service.
And that without music part is absolutely the key differentiator here. If we zoom out a bit, this isn't just, Google being generous. This move is a direct voluntary corrective measure. It's in response to an investigation by Korea's Fair Trade Commission, the FTC.
The regulator steps in.
Exactly. The FTC was looking into Google's tying practices. Essentially, they were bundling the video service and YouTube Music together in the main premium product. And the FTC saw that as potentially limiting consumer choice.
Okay, so you couldn't get ad-free videos without paying for music, even if you didn't want it.
That's the crux of it. Now, the FTC still needs to give its final approval. The deadline is August 14th, 2025, and once that happens, the launch is expected within 90 days. It's also important to note the existing full YouTube Premium, the one with music, that will still be available. That's at 14,900 KRW.
Right. In the new Lite version, the pricing was 8,500 KRW for Android Web and a bit more for iOS, right? 10,900 KRW.
Correct. That difference is down to Apple's, standard 15% in-app purchase fee.
But here's what really jumped out at me from the sources. Google has apparently committed to a price freeze for both the new Lite and the existing premium services for 1 year from launch. In this age of streamflation where everything seems to go up, that's genuinely surprising.
It is surprising. It's a direct counter to that trend we're seeing everywhere.
So what are the sources saying Google gets out of this beyond just, appeasing the FTC? It feels like there must be more to it.
You're right, there's definitely more to the story. Beyond that price freeze, there are some truly unique benefits lined up for Korean consumers. For instance, new subscribers and also people switching from the full premium down to Lite. They'll get a 2-month extended free trial. Apparently, that's a world first, exclusive to Korea.
Wow, okay.
And Google is also lining up partnerships. Telecom companies, retail companies, looking for discounted bundles. The potential reach there is huge, possibly benefiting up to 2.1 million domestic consumers.
So wider adoption is clearly a goal.
Seems like it. And it's not just about consumers. Google is also investing 15 billion KRW to support Korea's domestic content ecosystem. Things like nurturing, I think it was 12 new artists annually for 4 years, helping some of them expand globally.
Interesting. So it's partly a goodwill gesture, maybe? Or
Yeah.
investing in future content?
Perhaps a bit of both. And what's also critically significant here from a legal and regulatory standpoint is the process itself. This marks one of the first times the FTC has used something called a consent decree process with a major global platform like Google. Basically, this legal mechanism allows for a much faster resolution. It avoids potentially years, maybe 4 or 5 years of protracted litigation.
So faster outcome, consumers get choice sooner, Google avoids a long fight, kind of a win-win-win.
Potentially, yes. It's certainly a big development for regulatory efficiency and ultimately for consumer choice in the Korean market.
Okay, speaking of digital shifts, let's jump from your streaming habits to the often wild world of decentralized finance, Bitcoin. Our sources are painting a picture maybe of Bitcoin finally solidifying its status as digital gold. That term keeps popping up.
It does.
On July 14, 2025, Bitcoin broke new ground, soared past $120,000 for the first time ever. And to grasp the sheer magnitude of this, consider this. Its global market cap hit $2.434 trillion, which means for the first time, Bitcoin's total value actually surpasses that of all the silver in the world. Silver is currently around $2.219 trillion.
That's a major milestone.
It is. It makes Bitcoin the 5th largest asset globally by market cap. Puts it in an elite club, right behind tech giants like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Apple. So we should add still about 1/9 of gold's whopping $22.631 trillion cap. So perspective is needed.
Absolutely. Still a way to go to catch actual gold. But what truly differentiates this rally, according to the sources, from past speculative surges is the source of the capital inflow. This time, it seems to be overwhelmingly driven by governments, corporations, and crucially, institutional investors, much less retail frenzy driving it.
Okay, so the smart money's coming in. Is that the idea?
That appears to be the narrative. Look at the ETF flows. On July 10th alone, Bitcoin ETFs saw an astounding $1.2 billion in inflows. In a single day, a new annual record. Corporate demand is clearly spiking. You have examples like Japan's Metaplanet adding almost 800 BTC, bringing their total over 16,000. MicroStrategy, always a big name here, acquired another $2 billion worth. They now hold a staggering 300,000 BTC. Even, Elon Musk's companies, Tesla and SpaceX, they're holding Bitcoin valued over $2 billion with maybe $1.5 billion in unrealized gains. And perhaps most tellingly, even conservative pension funds are starting to dip their toes in. The New York Teachers Pension Fund invested $1.5 million in a Bitcoin mining company. A UK pension firm was advised to allocate 3% of its assets to BTC. This isn't just fringe anymore. This is a seismic shift in who is holding Bitcoin.
That's a really powerful narrative about institutional adoption building. But what about the counter-arguments? Are there significant voices in your sources still skeptical? Or are we really truly past the crypto winter phase for good? What structural factors make this digital gold idea stick this time?
Well, the sources point to several key structural factors that are definitely contributing to this perception of maybe permanence. First, there's its fundamentally limited supply, right? Capped at 21 million total. And the halving events continually slow down the rate of new supply entering the market. Exactly. Then there's the expanding demand side, driven by these new institutional players we just talked about, governments, corporations, funds. We're also seeing what appears to be a more favorable policy environment emerging, particularly in the U.S. government and Congress. Less overtly hostile, perhaps. And of course, broader macro factors play a role. The impact of a potentially weaker dollar, persistently low interest rates. These make alternative assets like Bitcoin more attractive.
Right, the store of value argument gains traction.
Precisely. And you have some pretty bullish predictions out there. Larry Fink, the BlackRock CEO, has boldly projected Bitcoin could reach $700,000 if sovereign wealth funds allocate just 5% of their assets.
700,000, wow.
Yeah. And other experts, like Hwang-Suk Jin from Dongguk University, Michael Saylor from MicroStrategy, they seem to believe a crypto winter, a major crash like we've seen before, is unlikely to return because the market structure itself has fundamentally changed. Zhao Chengpeng, the Binance founder, even suggests current prices could look very low in just a few years. He highlights Bitcoin's scarcity, its portability, its accessibility, qualities that could potentially replace gold for some investors.
That's a really strong case for sustainability being made there. However, do the sources acknowledge any scenarios where even this institutional interest might, cool off, or where external economic shocks could still derail this whole digital gold narrative? It feels like we always need to consider the other side.
That's an essential perspective, absolutely. And yes, there is nuance. Cho Jae-woo from Hansung University's Blockchain Research Institute, he acknowledges that while volatility is indeed decreasing due to these structural shifts, he warns it would be premature to just conclude a sustained rally is guaranteed without considering the broader macroeconomic situation and, crucially, geopolitical risks.
Okay, so not immune to the rest of the world's problems.
Exactly. So while the underlying drivers seem robust, it's not entirely detached from the larger forces playing out in the global economy. It's a nuanced picture. Cautious optimism, perhaps, but with caveats.
Okay. Finally, let's turn to a deeply pressing domestic issue in Korea. Our sources are using some really strong language here, calling it an IMF-level job crisis. That's a, frankly, alarming comparison to the 1997-98 Asian financial crisis. It really emphasizes the gravity of the situation.
There's dark language, yeah.
The core problem boils down to this metric: job vacancies per applicant. In Korean, it's ginbaisu. And it has plummeted to levels not seen since that very crisis period. The data is striking. June 2025's ratio was 0.39. That means basically for every 2 job seekers, there's less than 1 available position.
Less than half a job per person looking.
Exactly. And this isn't just a sudden dip. It's a consistent decline. It fell from 0.78 back in 2022 down to 0.49 in 2024. And January 2025 saw a low of 0.28. That's the lowest recorded figure since May 1999, which was 0.25. The situation is just stark. More people are looking for jobs and fewer jobs are being offered by companies.
And if we zoom out, or maybe zoom in on demographics, this crisis is disproportionately hitting young people, specifically those aged 29 and under. It raises a really urgent question about their economic future. They're crucial for driving the economy forward.
Right, the next generation.
Yeah. Employment insurance subscribers for this age group, they decreased by 93,000 year on year. That marks 34 consecutive months of decline. It's a long, worrying trend. And to add to that, the number of young entrepreneurs also fell in the first quarter of 2025 by 26,000. That's the first decline recorded since they even started collecting that data back in 2017.
So not just fewer jobs, but less inclination or ability to start businesses too.
It seems so. And the editorial we're drawing from points out the broader consequences. This lack of quality jobs isn't just an individual problem. It feeds into a domestic demand slump, which hurts the whole economy. And it exacerbates the country's already critically low birth rate. It triggers this cascade of interconnected socioeconomic issues that, threaten the nation's long-term vitality.
Okay, given the severity of the situation, the natural question is, what are the proposed solutions? Our sources, particularly the editorial, suggest the fundamental answer lies in improving the corporate environment. What specific reforms or changes are being pushed for in these reports?
Well, the editorial we're analyzing strongly advocates for specific corporate reforms. The goal is to foster a more dynamic business ecosystem. This includes addressing concerns around certain pieces of legislation, like the Yellow Envelope Law, which expands strike rights significantly. Businesses fear this could encourage more strikes and disrupt operations.
Okay, labor law changes are contentious.
Very. There's also mention of a stronger commercial act, which some businesses view as potentially giving minority shareholders, maybe activists, too much power, threatening management rights. The editorial also suggests avoiding uniform, across-the-board extensions of the retirement age. The argument is this could significantly increase the burden on companies.
Right, cost implications.
Definitely. And it calls for removing what they term sandbag regulations, basically unnecessary bureaucratic hurdles, red tape that stifles business activity. Additionally, they propose relaxing the 52-hour work week rule, making it more flexible, and promoting more performance-based or job-based wage systems rather than seniority-based pay.
So a package of deregulation and flexibility measures, essentially.
That's the core thrust of it. The editorial draws a distinction. Things like consumer coupons might offer a temporary boost for domestic demand, sure, but for sustained growth, and more importantly, the creation of quality jobs, it argues that fundamental corporate revitalization is what's needed. It makes a really strong case for the government and the ruling party to prioritize corporate activation. It frames the creation of good jobs through sustainable business growth as, quote, optimal welfare.
Optimal welfare through jobs, not just handouts. That's a clear stance. Wow. Okay, what a deep dive that was. Into some truly pivotal stories unfolding in Korea today, from, shaping global trade with these colossal port developments, and uniquely tailoring global digital services like YouTube, to navigating the complexities of digital finance with Bitcoin, and confronting these really critical social challenges like the job crisis. It's just crystal clear that Korea is at a fascinating, maybe challenging crossroads. It's almost ironic, isn't it, how we jump from multi-trillion-won infrastructure projects to figuring out how to save a few thousand won on YouTube Premium, but I guess that's modern life, right? So many layers.
It really is. So many layers and so interconnected when you look closely. If we try to connect all these threads, pull back for that bigger picture. What truly stands out, I think, is how each of these seemingly distinct issues reflects Korea's dynamic and often challenging position in the global economy. Whether it's investing trillions in a new port to redefine its logistical role, or uniquely tailoring global services like YouTube, partly in response to domestic regulatory pressures, or adapting to the slow, steady institutionalization of cryptocurrencies, or grappling with these profound domestic labor market challenges. Korea is consistently trying to perform this balancing act. Global competitiveness versus internal societal well-being.
A tough balance to strike.
Extremely tough. And this all raises, I think, an important question for you, the listener, to maybe mull over. In a world that's changing so rapidly, so interconnected, how effectively can any nation truly manage the immense demands of global economic integration, while simultaneously addressing the intricate, complex, and often conflicting needs of its own people?
That is a powerful thought to leave you with, a question with no easy answers, I suspect. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious, stay informed, and we'll catch you next time.